Hey everybody, today I want to talk about an album that I just uploaded to the website, a very, very cool album. It is Jimi Hendrix's album, Band of Gypsys, and I just posted this to my website, needlemeansauto.com, and this is one of my favorite Jimi Hendrix albums, just because it displays his raw, amazing guitar playing just in the best way possible, in my opinion, because he's playing with two other musicians on this album, Buddy Miles and Billy Cox, both two of his old friends. And so it's just a drummer, a bass player, and then Jimmy playing guitar, which is a lot like, obviously, the Jimi Hendrix Experience. But it's quite different in the sense that these two players on this album, the drummer and the bass player, they provide a much like deeper groove is how I would describe it. And it really sets a great foundation for Jimmy to kind of go off a little bit more with his guitar playing. And just the way this album was recorded, you also just get the full grit and the full presence of Jimmy's guitar. And it's just really, really an amazing listening experience. And on top of that, this particular pressing that I have on the website is just absolutely fantastic. Let me show you exactly what we have here. So this album was released on Capitol Records. Now, I know that's kind of weird because Jimmy's other albums were released on Warner Brothers Reprise, but he had like an old unresolved dispute with one of his old managers, I believe is the story. And somehow there was some weird contract that he ended up signing with Capitol Records. So Capitol Records was owed one Jimi Hendrix album. So he decided, in order to fulfill this contract, he was going to release a live album. So this album was recorded at the Fillmore East at New Year's Eve of 1969, and it was released on the Capitol Records label, and this pressing is on the Capitol Green Target label, is what they call it. And what makes this one so special is that this was mastered by Robert Ludwig. Yes, that Robert Ludwig, the amazing mastering engineer who worked on so many of the great Led Zeppelin albums, and his list of credentials goes on and on and on. And it was mastered at Sterling Sound. So in the Dead Wax, you get Sterling stamped with RL, his initials, etched in the Dead Wax. And on top of that, you get LH as well in the Dead Wax, which is so important when it comes to this particular pressing. This is, in my opinion, the absolute best possible way to listen to Band of Gypsys. This is such an amazing listening experience from the very bottom all the way to the top. The full frequency of sounds are on display here, and everything has been recorded just in the best way possible. Now, there's a reason for that, because at the actual venue, you had Wally Heider, who of course he built the studios in San Francisco that the Grateful Dead recorded many great albums at. Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young recorded a bunch of great albums there. Jefferson Airplane recorded albums there. Just an amazing studio. So he was on hand to record this album. And in addition, helping along the way, engineering it, was Eddie Kramer, who, of course, worked on almost all of Jimi Hendrix's albums before this, including Electric Ladyland, Access Bold as Love. Just an amazing engineer. So he helped engineer this, and he mixed this album as well. So really, you have an all-star cast of audio experts who recorded this album, and it absolutely shows. Don't mind all the motorcycles going by. This is just part of my videos at this point, right? So anyway, this particular pressing is just phenomenal, and I listened to many different pressings of this album, including later pressings on the Capitol label, including the Orange Capitol label, the Purple Capitol label. I listened to also some UK pressings of this record, even a German pressing. The German pressing, I gotta say, was very, very good. I really actually was kind of impressed by the German pressing. But nothing beats this original Capitol pressing with Robert Ludwig in the Dead Wax and Sterling in the Dead Wax as well. Just a phenomenal, phenomenal album. And my favorite song on here has to be the song Machine Gun. It's a 12-minute song, but it just is an absolute powerhouse of Jimi Hendrix playing guitar, making sounds with his guitar that you honestly are hard to believe that he's making these sounds with his guitar. Unbelievable. And on this pressing, it sounds like your head is directly in front of Jimi Hendrix's amplifier, and you can hear every single thing he's doing. And that is exactly what you want when it comes to Jimi Hendrix. I really, really love this album, and it's just a really, really cool listening experience, and it's unlike anything else Jimi Hendrix ever put out, in my opinion. I love all of his albums, but all his previous 3 albums with The Experience had a lot of studio overdubs and studio kind of gimmicks and stuff like that. This album, though, is just kind of the raw Jimi Hendrix. It's just him and his amplifier with 2 amazing backing musicians and just letting it rip. And it sounds absolutely amazing. The other kind of sad thing is that this is the last album Jimi Hendrix ever released in his lifetime. He passed away shortly after the release of this album. So, but the great thing, of course, though, is that he left behind such amazing music. But it's kind of interesting to see the direction he was heading in, because this album is leaning a lot more towards like the funk kind of R&B sounds that would definitely become very, very popular in the early to mid to late 70s. And Jimi was doing it on this album. Definitely heading kind of away from like the psychedelic sounds and heading more into that kind of funk R&B territory. So just a really, really great album, and I think one that's definitely essential to anybody's record collection. I just love this album so much. So if you want to own this particular pressing, head over to my website, needlemeansfinal.com. Check this out on the website, and stay tuned. I have lots more records coming. Finally, a lot of records that I've been ordering and working on have been coming through, and I've been able to listen to them, devote the time to them, and find those best pressings. So stay tuned. Lots of Beatles stuff, and including some, besides the Beatles, also some Van Morrison, some jazz titles, all kinds of stuff. So stay tuned, and bye for now.